Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about the graphic novel Godzilla Rage Across Time, written by a number of different people. There are 5 issues set in 5 different historical periods, and they're each written and illustrated by different people. The first issue set in feudal Japan, written by Jeremy Robinson, art by Matt Frank. Second issue set in ancient Greece, written by Chris Mowry and Khalil Schweitzer, art by Tad Galusha. Third issue, Medieval England, written by Ryan Ferrier, art by Hugo Petrus. Fourth issue set in classic Rome, written by Ulysses Farinas and Eric Freitas, art by Pablo Tunica. And then the Cretaceous period is the 5th issue, story by Jay Photos, also script by Jay Photos, and story also by Jeff Zornow, art by Jeff Zornow. So, we get a number of different things. What connects them? Well, the premise of Godzilla Rage Across Time, I think, is actually a really, really interesting one. Basically, in these different historical periods, feudal Japan, medieval England, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the Cretaceous period, Godzilla shows up and wreaks some havoc. That's about all that happens, really. It's a cool premise, I think. The execution is not necessarily amazing. So part of the problem is that the issues are fairly short. And so while they do have some degree of development, like things do occur, they're also kind of arbitrary. And then you've got this interlocking theme of this particular scientist and his research assistant who are going to these different locations. So that's them in the final issue on the Cretaceous period. They're going to these different locations and they're seeking out evidence that historical events didn't play out the way that historians think. That, in fact, it was Godzilla who was doing stuff. So the sinking of the Mongolian fleet during the attempted invasion of Japan, Godzilla destroyed all the ships. The Black Death, somehow related to kaiju, and Godzilla destroys the kaiju who's causing the Black Death. This sort of stuff. It's kind of weird. I mean, a lot of it kind of doesn't make that much sense. Particularly the second issue, which is kind of the one I was really excited about, where Godzilla encounters the Greek gods. And basically in this version of things, the Greek gods have just sort of become decadent and not really interested in humanity, and humans are just running around crazy as we're wont to do. And the gods are just like, we're sitting up here on Olympus, we don't give a fuck. And then Godzilla shows up and just starts destroying stuff, and the gods are like, we will fight Godzilla. And Godzilla kills all the Greek gods except for Zeus. Zeus sort of maybe manages to take out Godzilla, but he drains all his power and kind of becomes an immortal human. So, I don't know. It's a weird bit. I don't really know what to make of it. But one of the centerpieces of pretty much each of these issues is the grand climactic kaiju fight, which often involves Godzilla, except for the one in medieval England, which involves Mothra instead. But like this is the one in ancient Greece. Godzilla fighting this 3-headed multi-headed fellow. Actually, this is the Hydra, in fact, I remember now. Hydra, who in ancient Greek mythology, you cut off its head and two more grow in its place. So Godzilla has some difficulty with that initially because it goes for the neck, and then eventually Godzilla ends up just slamming the Hydra into Mount Olympus, destroying Mount Olympus, bringing it down on the Hydra, and pretty much ruining the home of the gods. So we had feudal Japan, again, with the attempted Mongol invasion of Japan, which did not work out. We've got the gods of ancient Greece being destroyed by Godzilla. In the medieval period, we have the Black Death ravaging England, and the king being convinced that it is caused by a demonic monster. So he sends some crusader knights out to go kill the monster. What eventually ends up happening is they find a temple. They meet the priestesses of Mothra, and Mothra shows up. Yay! And if you know the Mothra story from Japanese cinema, Mothra is a sort of maternal defender figure. And so Mothra goes out and destroys the kaiju that was otherwise killing the knights, etc., etc. The fourth issue involves Hannibal's invasion of Rome. He more or less, so Hannibal's army is getting destroyed by Godzilla. The Romans send out some legions of their own. Those get wrecked by Godzilla, and then Hannibal is like, we can use Godzilla's fire and some wine that's been vinegarized to erode the mountains so we can make it through to sack Rome. And I mean, in fairness, that actually was what Hannibal did, was he used vinegar to dissolve some of the rocks in the mountain so his army could get through. Godzilla probably not involved, though. Then in the issue about the Cretaceous period, we largely have no dialogue for most of it. It is just page after page of kaiju fighting and dinosaurs fighting and dinosaurs getting killed by kaiju, etc., etc. Then some aliens show up. Fucking spaceships show up out of nowhere, and the aliens drop off these people with a stone hatchet and some sort of fruit. And basically the idea is that aliens seeded humanity on Earth, and were like, tend these crops and we'll come back and get them, basically. So, I mean, not real clear how that bit sort of connects to anything else that's going on in the graphic novel. Basically, it's a weird, shaggy, bizarre mess of a graphic novel. Kind of cool, kind of just a bunch of random episodic shit that doesn't really make that much sense.